Simmons and Embiid, Brown and Tatum, Doncic and Porzingis, Jokic and Murray, Zion and Brandon Ingram. You start thinking about the young duos in the NBA, and I don't know where you take Embiid and Simmons.
Maybe fourth in that list. Like I heard at least three more groups that I would say, well, yeah, that's much more enticing and with more room to grow. Like Ben and Simmons and Joel Embiid, I feel like have been doing this for a while. And they've won a lot of games too. Like we can't discount that. But just seeing things like we saw earlier this season where Shaq and Charles Barkley go on air and they criticize Joel Embiid. And then the response is he goes out and plays really well for a couple of games based off that. But then we see it wax and wane. It's like, all right, if those kind of external things are the ones motivating you and affecting performance up and down like that, that sort of makes me feel like that locker room doesn't really have a handle on what it is.
I imagine if you hear us talking about this, there are some people going to go, what are you talking about? It's Embiid and Simmons. I mean, at this point, everybody is acknowledging there's a problem here in putting these two guys' games together. How about this? It doesn't add up to more than, how does that saying go? If the sum is not greater.
It's not greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. So in other words, they're better and they're more individually than they are when you put them together.
And this is what I always, like on the opposite version of this is what I said when the Rockets back in the day traded for Chris Paul and got him next to James Harden. I was like, that's not going to be multiplication. That might be addition. They might help because Chris Paul is a good player. But you're looking, when you add up a lot of these duos, to multiply. You're looking for what LeBron James and Anthony Davis have, where you complement each other so well that it lifts everything else up. Not just that, all right, well, we've got great player here, and they can get theirs on their own. And right now, that's kind of what it feels like is you're getting yours on one way or the other, but never really both at the same time in the ways that we're looking for.
So look at this. You said fourth. I think you're right. Among these young duos, it sounds sacrilegious because, as you said, these guys have been to the playoffs. They've been, a shot or two away from the Eastern Conference Finals.
4 bounces.
But how about this? Tatum and Brown have been to the Eastern Conference Finals as the core foundation. Before Kyrie, he was out, right? He was injured. So they were the core foundation of a team that went to Game 7.
I mean, punched LeBron James, the Eastern Conference God King, square in the face and showed everyone he could bleed. And that was when we said the problems began for Kyrie Irving. But when you saw that with those guys, and Jason Tatum's been a guy that I remember hearing one of our analysts say had that kind of potential, had superstar potential laying within him. And maybe we haven't seen all of that yet, but to me, if we're betting on young duos, that would be number one there, those two, because it's the
number
mix.
One?
Of the young duos right now, I would take them number one because it's the perfect mix of,
really?
All right, you've got guys with a bunch of talent who have also shown you some. I know you're a big guy when it comes to accomplishment and merit. They have accomplished at a level that no one else in this group can say they can.
Number one. Okay, I would factor in two things. You're hitting on it. I think chemistry is always underrated in basketball. For some reason, we've turned basketball into an individual sport. This guy's amazing and that guy's amazing. As fans, even as analysts, we don't factor in intangibles and chemistry and how guys play together enough. So is the sum greater than the total of its parts is big. And clearly with Tatum and Brown, I think the answer is yes. Two wings that play really nicely together, neither of which is ball dominant, actually play off the ball, right? Usage for both those guys is way less than everyone we're going to talk about. But I don't know. The second factor I'd put in is ceiling. I don't know that Tatum or Brown's ceiling as individuals can reach what these other duos provide.
So who do you think has the highest ceiling of these groups? Because I think there's a clear-cut answer, but I feel like I know which one you're going to go
Well,
towards.
I mean, Nuno's working the show. Cliff is on the show. I mean, everybody's just waiting for me to do my Homer thing, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just like everybody's on pins and needles.
I know what you want.
It's Doncic and Porzingis.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
No, here's what I think, though. It's not just going to be Doncic and Porzingis. I'm interested in Zion and Ingram as well.
See, I think that's the highest ceiling of the group right now, mostly because of Zion, but the strides Brandon Ingram's made since he's got there, turning himself into a bona fide star.
Couple of things. Ingram is not getting full credit for how far he's come. Ingram at the Lakers was not who Ingram is. He's really, really good. Does he ultimately mesh with Zion? We don't know the answer to that. So the whole how do they play together and sum total of their parts, that's an unknown with those two. And I agree with you on Zion's ceiling. That potential ceiling in our minds is bolstering that duo in my rankings. Doncic has the same ceiling. That's what is lifting the Mavericks duo. The truth is, for anybody that watches the Mavs, Doncic and Porzingis are nice together, but it doesn't feel like they're getting everything out of each other, specifically Porzingis. He's playing better without Doncic right now.
And that's where this becomes interesting, and that's why with Zion just going, and again, we have nothing on the court in the NBA yet, long-term sample size to suggest it, but I go back to his time at Duke. He was always a guy that found a way to get the other guys on his team involved. I think he's an underrated passer, an underrated teammate when it comes to being unselfish, getting in the open floor in places where you can involve a lot of guys. So I have Duke Zion stuck in my head when I think of the guy that can potentially be part of bridging that gap.
Here's another one that's proven. I mean, proven to the same extent that the Celtics duo and the Sixers duo is proven. Jokic and Murray in Denver. I mean, Jokic has been a borderline MVP candidate. They went to the Western Conference Finals. This team is.
Or they made it short of there. It was Portland and Golden State were the Western Conference Finals last year, but they were the 1 or 2 seed all year.
Yep.
So
I love Jokic as a player. Would you take Jokic and Murray over Embiid and Simmons?
At this point, yes, but I struggle with both of them, and I struggle in the idea when we talk about these duos with, am I going to be comfortable building around a duo that's built with a big man? Like, can you win like that nowadays? And I get it. LeBron and Anthony Davis technically fall into that, but Anthony Davis, and really all of these guys do a little bit more than that, but maybe there is just some hesitance in the way the game is moved in my brain when I look at those duos specifically, the ones built around bigs versus the other ones we've talked about.
So you have Zion and Ingram, Doncic and Porzingis, and Jokic and Murray ahead of Embiid and Simmons?
Man, you know what? I don't think I'm going to go that far.
Said fourth.
I said fourth, so I mean Tatum and Brown.
Oh, I forgot Tatum and Brown. That's right.
I'd say Tatum and Brown. I would say Doncic and Porzingis. This is where Embiid and Simmons kind of fall in that 3-4 range for me.
You're debating them with Zion and Ingram.
Yeah.
You like that. Yeah.
I like that a lot for the upside, but again, like Embiid and Simmons have accomplished,
Zion and Ingram been together for like 3 games.
I was gonna say, we talk about merit. I've probably got to give it to Embiid and Simmons on that one, just because they've 50-win seasons, playoff appearances, all these things that they've done. Their best is still great. We just fail to see it consistently enough.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.